The scream tore through the quiet of Willow Creek like a siren, sharp and desperate, shattering the illusion of suburban serenity. I bolted upright in bed, heart hammering, the digital clock glowing 2:17 a.m. Another cry-muffled now, but unmistakably human came from somewhere outside. I stumbled to the window, yanking back the curtains. The cul-de-sac was bathed in moonlight, silent except for the faint rustle of leaves. Then I saw it, a figure sprinting across my neighbor's lawn, clutching something small and wriggling, disappearing into the shadows of the oak trees. My gut churned. Something was wrong, deeply, horribly wrong. My name is Ethan Caldwell, and I'd moved to Willow Creek 6 months ago, chasing the kind of peace you're promised in glossy real estate brochures. After a decade in the city, my anxiety had frayed me to the breaking point, and my therapist suggested a quieter life and a therapy animal to anchor me. Enter Machi, a soft gray rabbit with eyes like polished obsidian, whose gentle presence could calm even my worst spirals. I thought Willow Creek would be our sanctuary. I hadn't counted on meeting Diana Hargrove, the HOA president whose obsession with control would turn my life into a battlefield. Diana was a legend in Willow Creek, though not the kind you'd celebrate. At 52, she ruled the neighborhood with the precision of a dictator, her sleek black Audi prowling the streets like a predator. Her auburn hair was always pinned in an immaculate chignon, and her emerald eyes could spot a blade of grass out of place from 50 yards. Neighbors whispered about her in tones reserved for urban legends how she'd find someone do lot 200 for a mailbox that was half an inch too tall, or issued a citation for a child's chalk drawing on a driveway. Temporary art is still vandalism, she'd reportedly sniffed. I'd seen her myself, clipboard in hand, documenting infractions with a zeal that suggested she lived for it. To her, Willow Creek wasn't a community, it was her empire. My first run-in with Diana came 3 months after I settled in. It was a warm April afternoon, and I was on my porch, sipping iced tea while Machi nibbled clover in her portable enclosuria mesh pen designed for her safety. The sun was golden, the air sweet with jasmine, and for once my mind was still. Then I heard the squeal of tires. Diana's Audi jerked to a stop at my curb, and she emerged like a fury in a tailored blazer, her heels clicking with military precision. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice a blade wrapped in silk. "Pets are not permitted to be Sybil from the street. HOA Bylaws, Section 14, Paragraph 2. She tapped her pen against her clipboard, the sound like a metronome counting down to trouble. I forced a smile, though my pulse was already climbing. Machi's not a pet. Ms. Hargrove. She's a registered therapy animal, prescribed for my anxiety disorder. I've got all the paperwork, and the Fair Housing Act protects her presence here." Her lips pursed, as if I'd offered her a lemon instead of facts. A rabbit? Therapy animals are dogs, maybe cats. Not rodents. She waved a manicured hand at Machi, who was blissfully chewing, unaware of the storm brewing. "The law doesn't specify species," I said, keeping my tone even. "I'd be happy to VY to the documentation if you need it." Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment I saw something flicker in them, annoyance, maybe, or the thrill of a challenge. "Very well," she said. "I expect those papers on my desk by 8 a.m. tomorrow. And until then, keep that animal out of sight." She turned on her heel, Leah VY-ing a cloud of Chanel no. 5 and unspoken threats. I delivered the paperwork as promised, complete with a notarized letter from my therapist and Machi's registration. For a few weeks, things seemed to settle. Machi and I resumed our routine morning coffee on the porch, her enclosure set up in a shady corner of the yard. I even started to relax, thinking Diana had moved on to torment someone else. Then came the fence dispute. Willow Creek's bylaws allowed decorative fencing up to 4 feet high. VY dead, it was approved by the HOA. My lot, tucked at the end of a winding street, had an awkward shape, with a side yard that felt more private than most backyards. I wanted a small picket fence to enclose it, partly for Machi's safety and partly to grow a few vegetables, tomatoes, basil, maybe some kale for Machi salads. I submitted the plans, complete with sketches and material samples, and waited. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, stamped with Diana's signature. Application denied. Fencing deemed inconsistent with community aesthetic. Frustrated but undeterred, I built the fence anyway, reasoning that it met every written guideline. White cedar, 3.5 feet tall, set back from the street. I wasn't trying to pick a fight. I just wanted my space to feel like mine. 3 days after the post went up, Diana appeared at my gate, this time with a tablet, snapping photos like a paparazzo. "This is a violation," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. "Unauthorized structures are prohibited. Remove it by Friday, or I'll have it demolished." I gestured to the fence, which blended seamlessly with the neighborhood's VYB. "The bylaws allow decorative fencing under 4 feet. This is compliant, and it's on my property." "Your side yard," she snapped, her cheeks flushing. "Fences belong in backyards." "I wrote those rules, Mr. Caldwell. I know what they mean." "Then maybe they need rewriting," I said, keeping my voice calm. "As written, this fence is legal. I'd be happy to discuss it at the next HOA meeting." Her eyes glittered with something dangerous. "You'll regret this," she said, and stormed off. I should have taken her words as a warning, but I was too stubborn, too naive to back down. The HOA meeting was a circus. I'd expected a handful of retirees debating mailbox colors, but the room was packed, the air thick with resentment. Diana sat at the head of the table, gavel in hand, her smile as brittle as glass. When my turn came, I presented my case. Photos of the fence, a highlighted copy of the bylaws, even a survey showing my lot's unique layout. To my surprise, the crowd was with me. "It's a nice fence," muttered a guy named Tom, who'd been fined for his kid's basketball hoop. "What's her problem?" The board's VYC president, a soft-spoken woman named Clara, nodded. "The rules don't specify backyard only. If we want that, we need an amendment." Diana's face went rigid, her knuckles white around her gavel. The vote was unanimous. My fence could stay. As I left, an older woman named Evelyn grabbed my arm. "Watch your back, Ethan," she whispered. "Diana doesn't forgive." She was right. The citation started the next day. My mailbox was improperly aligned, $25 fine. My lawn had excessive clover, $50. My porch light was too bright, $30. I contested each one, documenting everything: photos, timestamps, even a spreadsheet tracking Diana's VY sits. I followed every rule to the letter, but she was relentless, a hunter circling a wounded animal. I started to dread the sound of her Audi's engine. Then came a night I'll never forget. I was in Chicago for a work conference, a 3-day trip to pitch a new project. I'd hired my neighbor's son, Jake, to care for matcha fresh water, a daily check-in. On the second night, my phone rang at 1 a.m. Jake's voice was shaky. "Ethan, Machi's gone. Her enclosure's locked with some heavy-duty padlock I've never seen. There's a note saying she was taken by the HOA for VY OLADing regulations." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean, taken? I want to feed her, and she's just gone." The note says she's at the HOA office, but no one's answering the phone. I was on a red-eye flight by 3 a.m., my mind a tornado of fear. Machi wasn't just a pet, she was my lifeline. Her specific diet, her need for a cool, quiet space. If they mishandled her, she could die. I called the HOA office, animal control, even the police, Leah VYing voicemails that grew increasingly desperate. When I landed, I drove straight to the community center. The office was locked, the windows dark, but through the glass, I saw Machi's carrier on a desk, alone in a room that felt like a sauna. My fist clenched. If she was hurt, I'd never forgive myself. I called my lawyer, Sarah, who was blunt. "This is illegal. Seizing a therapy animal violates federal law. And if they're neglecting her, it's cruelty. File a police report, get witnesses, and don't touch anything." I set up a camera outside the office, another at my house, and started knocking on doors. Most neighbors shrugged, claiming ignorance, but Evelyn was different. Over tea, she spilled everything. "I saw Diana yesterday. with two board members, Lyle and Patricia. They cut your lock, put their own on, and took the rabbit. I recorded it. She handed me her phone, the video grainy but damning. Diana, bolt cutters in hand, barking orders as Machi's carrier was hauled away. Will you testify? I asked. Evelyn grinned, her eyes sharp. I've been waiting to nail her for years. With Evelyn's video and statements from two others who'd seen Diana's crew, I went to the police. The desk sergeant, a grizzled man named Ortiz, sighed. HOA dramas usually civil, not criminal. But when I showed him Machi's registration and explained her medical necessity, his jaw tightened. All right, we'll check it out. 3 hours later, I got a call to meet them at the community center. Two cruisers were parked outside, their lights painting the dusk red and blue. Officer Ortiz met me at the door. We got a key from the property manager. Your rabbit was in her carrier, no food, no water, in a room pushing 95 degrees. She's alive, but stressed. Vet's on the way. Relief flooded me, but it was short-lived. Diana's voice echoed from inside, shrill and unhinged. This is my office. You can't barge in. That animal's a nuisance. I stepped inside to find her cornered by a second officer, her hair slipping from its chignon, her face a mask of fury. When she saw me, she jabbed a finger. He's the one breaking the rules. That rabbit's a menace. Ma'am, the officer said, his voice flat. This is a therapy animal, protected by law. You had no right to take it. I'm the HOA president, she shrieked, as if it were a shield. The vet, a kind woman named Dr. Lynn, examined Machi. She's dehydrated, overheated. Another day like this, and she wouldn't have made it. My VY shone blurred with rage, but I stayed quiet, letting the police do their job. Ortiz turned to Diana. MS. Hargrove, based on witness statements, VY Deo, EVY Denke, and the animal's condition, you're under arrest for theft and animal cruelty. Her mouth fell open, her hands trembling as handcuffs clicked into place. You can, this is the president, she stammered, but the officers were unmoved. As they led her to the cruiser, her wails echoed across the lot, a symphony of disbelief. Machi came home that night, fragile but alive. I sat with her for hours, stroking her fur, promising she'd never be taken again. The HOA scrambled to contain the fallout. At an emergency meeting, the board ousted Diana and issued a public apology, citing unacceptable conduct. They waived my fines, approved my fence retroactively, and promised to re-VYSE the bylaws for clarity. It felt like a VY Tory, but I was too drained to celebrate. Diana's reckoning didn't end there. The story hit the local news, Evelyn's VY Deo playing on loop. Diana, it turned out, was a property manager for a luxury real estate firm, touting harmonious communities to wealthy clients. Her employer suspended her pending the trial, and whispers spread that her career was toast. When the case went to court, the judge was merciless. You endangered a protected animal in VY OLAT federal law, he said, leveling a due law 15,000 fine and 200 hours of community care VY seat and animal shelter, no less. Diana's face crumpled, her usual poise gone. I was just enforcing the rules, she mumbled. The law doesn't bend for HOA presidents, the judge replied. Willow Creek changed after that. The new HOA president, Clara, was fair, almost apologetic, and the citation stopped. Neighbors started talking openly, sharing stories of Diana's reign. I rebuilt Machi's enclosure, stronger this time, and added a lock no bolt cutter could touch. But every so often, I'd catch myself glancing at the street, half expecting Diana's Audi to roll by. She was gone, but her shadow lingered, a reminder that peace, even in a place like Willow Creek, is never guaranteed. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching. and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.